Good evening. What we learned last time was what is a class? What do you mean by class and what do you mean by object? These two words we learned. And we just started something called OOPM because I said that class and object are the concrete words that you should learn. We just got introduced to these two words. We wrote some very, very simplistic programs to explain how to create a class, how to create an object, and how do you call methods by using an object. You recall while leaving the class last time, I gave you reference that although maybe we are in the 12th lecture of Python and we are now learning what is class and object, I gave you a reference that we have been using this since first day since we started learning Python, because I gave you reference that suppose I say A is 10, 20, 30 and I ask you what is A, you will easily say A is a list. This is a list. Okay. But actually A is an object of this class list. A is actually an object of class list. So list is a class in Python and you just define an object of that class. When you write square bracket, then Python will make this A as an object of list. And I also said that even this statement is wrong, but we accept it many times. Actually, A is a reference which refers to object of class list. So if you imagine memory of the machine, then in the memory A actually refers to an object, and the object is containing this list. But loosely we can say A is the object. Many times we say A is list object. And there is nothing wrong in that. Now, if you know A is a list object and it is this object as I am marking in the memory, storing 10, 20, 30, then every object, has properties and methods. For example, what if you want to add 40 in this list? Add one more value. Then you use a method called append, I said. This method append we saw long back in our course. And how do you use append? You just say A dot append 40. So how do you read this line? This is a method or a function. This is a function and we are calling this function. But if this is a function, where is it defined? This append function is defined in the list class. So you can imagine in Python there is a class called list. And in this list class, there is a method called append defined. And this method gets called when we actually write this. And look how append is called on A, where A is object of list class. Okay, have a look at it again. What we learned last time is, imagine I write a line B is equal to 10, 20, 30. And I ask you what is B, you will immediately say it is tuple. Because round bracket is written. Yeah, but now you will properly tell me that B is object of class tuple. So there is a class called tuple defined in Python, and making this round bracket here, you're defining B as an object, but you also know that actually B is a reference. The reference which refers to object of tuple class. So you can imagine there is some object in the memory which stores 10, 20, 30 and B refers to that object. But we can loosely say B is an object. In fact, we say like that. Okay. Now imagine we want to append one value in this. Say 40 we want to append. Then can we call B dot append just as we called A dot append some time back? Can we write this? Wrong. Why? Because append method is not defined in the tuple class. Why? Because tuples are immutable. You can't change tuple. Once stored is stored. You can't change the values. You can't add new values. You can't delete values. So append method is purposefully not defined in the tuple class. So throughout, whenever you learn Python, everything is class and object in Python. Everything since day one. And as soon as your teacher says that there is a class called set in Python, this class is there. Your first question is, how do you create objects? Okay, this is a class. So how do you create objects? Simple. You just say name of the set and then you write curly brace. But this has to be told to you. You don't know that, to create set, you have to write curly brace. So suppose you write 10, 20, 30, this becomes a set object. And now the second question you should ask is, okay, we have created a set object. Now, second question is, which operations can we perform on this set object? When you ask such a question, which operations, you're actually asking which methods are defined, which methods are defined in the set class. This is a class. Then this class must be having some predefined methods. And then maybe out of curiosity, you may just Google out and say methods in set Python. Maybe you will get list of methods somewhere on Google, and these are list of methods. So if add is the method defined in the set, then surely, going back to this page, if S is the object of set class, you are eligible to call s.add. Please try to understand, because S is a set object and this clearly says add is a method in the set class. Or you can call clear method and the description. If this description is not enough, you can just click on the clear and you can see an example. That's it. This is the way how each class and object has to be learned. And the fundamental thing that you have to know is that you have to understand just what is class and what is object. You can't remember everything. I mean, somebody says that I remember all methods of set class. I remember all this. Person has achieved a lot, I should agree. But that person has wasted time. What's the sense in remembering all the names of these methods when everything is available online and you can easily search and use those methods? Okay, this is what we were getting introduced to. Now, today, we will use some of these concepts. How to use these concepts? What interesting thing that we are going to do is that I'm going to take a complete turn over here and I'm going to start with a chapter called exception handling. Exception handling in Python. So you may argue, sir, we were learning class and object, that topic is still not finished. How are you starting a new topic, exception handling? Trust me, we will get reference of class and object in this topic. In fact, there cannot be any better time to learn this chapter than this one. Let's start. Actually, when you have a Python program, some Python program, then there can be two types of errors that can occur in the Python program. First type of error, is called syntax error or compiler error or interpreter error, whatever you call. But this is better. Syntax error. Like what kind of errors? Maybe you have written a formula like this: A is equal to B plus C. That's it. But you forgot to give this close bracket over here. Now you just check. This statement is grammatically incorrect. This is grammatically incorrect, isn't it? Because if you have open bracket, you should give close bracket, but you missed out this. Now Python will not excuse here and will not run your program from this line. I mean, it will give an error here saying that this is grammatical mistake. Now, other type of errors are called runtime errors. Obviously, as the name suggests, runtime errors means the errors which occur during execution. You know what? Many times, your statement is absolutely grammatically correct. There is no grammatical error in your statement, but logically it is wrong. What I mean is, Just imagine, I don't know why, but just imagine you wrote this line, C is equal to 10 divided by 0. Just observe this line. Now, there is no grammatical error because division symbol is there in Python. 10 and 0 are perfectly valid numbers, and C is one of the variables equal to you have written. So there is no grammar error. But this line cannot be executed by our machine. Forget about Python. Our processor, whichever processor, cannot run this statement because any processor in this world cannot divide with 0. Even we can't divide with 0. Anything divided by 0 is undefined. So if such a statement is encountered by Python, Python will say, I can't run this line. And because it cannot run the line, it gives an error. And that kind of error, many times called as runtime error, is called exception. Exceptions are the situations that occur during execution if a line is grammatically correct, but it can't be executed by our machine. Okay. So if you are asked, what do you mean by exception? Let's say, I'm talking only about this word, exception. If you're asked what is exception, most of the beginners, say exception is runtime error. Exception means runtime error. Wrong. Because I have described all this, these runtime errors occur and so on. So many people feel that, okay, the definition of exception is runtime error. Errors that occur during runtime are called exceptions. Wrong. Definitions are very important because after learning technical definitions, only then we understand what exactly is that topic and what they mean. So never ever say from next time onwards, if you're asked what is exception, don't say runtime errors or errors which occur during execution are exceptions. Okay, so still I have not defined exception, but wait a minute. Let's go to an empty page, Jupyter Notebook. I'll type some code here. Let's say A is 10, B is 5, C is 5, and I say D is A divided by B minus C, and then print D. Now you watch, this line is bad. Grammatically it is correct, but practically it is bad. Because you watch the denominator, B minus C. This is 5 minus 5. This happens to be 0. And A is 10. A is 10. So ultimately this line will be D is equal to 10 divided by 0. But 10 divided by 0 is not possible. So what Python does, Python will run the program till this point. It says, I don't have any problem. These lines are correct. But as soon as Python reaches this line, it raises an exception. It raises an exception and stops the program. What I was saying is this line becomes D is equal to 10 divided by 0. But 10 divided by 0 cannot be solved. So what Python does, it raises an exception and it stops running the program. Well, it's not that because Python is not able to run this line, Python says, okay, I will run next line. It doesn't happen like that. If this line cannot be executed, then all other lines, maybe after this we have written 500 lines, maybe won't execute. Program will halt here. Program will halt. Many times this is known as abnormal termination. This is not normal. Normal termination will be if the entire program ends properly. But abnormal termination occurs because some unfavorable conditions occurred. Let's try to run this and see what happens. Check that there is an error. Oh, lot of description. But don't worry about this description. You just check where was the error. Here, the arrow has been shown. This is the error. And the proper description has been shown, 0 division error. Look at this word, 0 division error. And some description has been given, division by 0. Same word is printed here, 0 division error. Check the same word. What if I tell you that this 0 division error is a class in Python? I repeat, this 0 division error is a class in Python, predefined class. Like list is a class, tuple is a class, set is a class. Like that, 0 division error is a predefined class. More about this I'm going to talk. Okay. Watch one more word here, trace back. Trace back. Check that. Okay. Whenever you see trace back, this word, then you should understand that this error has occurred during execution. This is not a grammatical error. Trace back means Python is complaining that you have written such a poor line that I am not able to execute it. So that's exception. Whenever you see trace back, you understand, okay, that means execution cannot happen. Just check what I am talking about. Thoroughly check it. Suppose I forget giving this bracket. Oh, look at this line now. Just look at this. This is grammatically bad because I have given open bracket, but I have not given close bracket. What if I run this now? There is no trace back. Hello. That word is not there. Trace back. There is no class name also. Zero division error. No class name. It simply says syntax error. Check that. And it says invalid syntax. Please try to understand. Here, Python didn't complain that I am not able to run this line. See, before running the line should be grammatically correct, isn't it? But so what Python first does, whenever it takes any line, it will first check whether the line is grammatically correct. If it is grammatically correct, then it will try to execute it. But if the line is not grammatically correct, it will simply give syntax error. If I give close bracket here, now this line is grammatically correct, but 5 minus 5 is 0, as I said. So it's going to give a trace back. And this is the name of the class, don't forget, and the description of the error. So what if I make, let's say B as, let's say 7. Now this will be 7 minus 5, that is 2. So 10 is divided by 2, so D will be 5. No problem. Now this line is grammatically correct and this line can be executed also. So if I run this, obviously 5.0 will be the output. So understanding what exactly exceptions are looking like was more important first. And I promise that in Python you get tracebacks more of tracebacks than the syntax error, because syntax is so easy in Python. You hardly make any syntax errors. Okay, let's take one more example. Suppose I have still not defined the word exception. Please check that. We still don't know how to define exception. We are only looking at how exceptions appear. That's it. Okay, here we go. Suppose I have B is equal to 10, 20, 30. So you'll say B is an object. Now you know that B is an object of list class. And suppose I try to print B2. You know that these elements have indexes. This is 0 index, this is 1 index, this is 2 index. So the output is going to be 30 because we are printing B2. So if you check that, the output is 30. But what if we try to print B3? Now this is silly, isn't it? This is silly. Because you have created a list which has element 0, element 1, element 2. That's it. There is no element number 3. And you're pushing Python. You're telling that print third element, but third element isn't there. But just check. This line is grammatically correct. You're given the name of the list, you're given square bracket, you're given element number. But when you try to run it, you will get trace back. Although this line is grammatically correct, Python can't print third element. So it gives index error. Observe this. And what if I tell you that index error is name of a class in Python? Just as list class, tuple class, set class, index error is one of the class in Python. And you can see the same name has been printed here with the description list index out of range. Yeah, that means you have crossed the range. Range was only from 0 to 2. That was the index, but you crossed over the range. So it will shout saying, I can't run this. Okay, let's try something else. Imagine I print Z. What a code. I am printing Z. Okay, but note above, nowhere I have written Z is what? Z is anywhere in this code. Just check. I don't have any variable called Z and I am asking Python to print it. It would have been nice if I would have written Z is equal to, let's say, 100. Now I can print Z because Z is now in the memory and it is having a value 100. I don't specify what Z is and I say print Z. What's Python going to do? Now this line is grammatically correct, but there is no variable called Z. Let's try to run it. It is going to give trace back. And name error is the name of a class. This is a class in Python. Same class name has been printed here. And the description is name Z is not defined. Please don't argue that if Z is not defined, why doesn't it print 0? No. How Python comes to know that it is number? It can be name, it can be it can be list, it can be tuple. How does it know? Python has full permission to complain, and Python says, I don't know whose head is. This is name error. With this initial half an hour discussion, you must have understood one thing, that whenever some error occurs during execution, then there is some class, predefined class. There is some predefined class which becomes active. Yeah, it becomes active. Let's say I have one more code. Let's play with this. Suppose I have n or say name. Name is equal to, let's say, Samir. Now this is a string. Okay. And if I say print name, square bracket, and if I say 7, so my idea is I want to print 7th letter, but 7th letter is not there. But this is grammatically correct. If I run this, I'll get index error. This is trace back. Okay. And it gives string index out of range. So you crossed over the range. So I hope you have seen enough of this trace back. So how do I now explain what is exception? Our chapter is exception handling, and we have still not defined what is exception. To learn definition of exception, here we go. Consider a code like this. A is equal to 10, B is equal to 5, C is equal to 5, D is equal to A divided by B minus C, print D. And I will extend the code. I will say E is equal to A plus B plus C and print E. You watch, this line is bad. Really, this is division by 0. But there is no problem with this line. E is 10 plus 5 plus 5, which will be 20. So this should print 20. But the problem is, because this line is severely not good, I mean, it can't be executed, trace back will occur, that is exception will occur, and program will finish here. So all the lines get penalized. Rest of the program will not run. Okay. So what's happening really? See, this is our program and we want to run this. So what we do is we ask Python to run this. Python has an interpreter, and what interpreter does, it takes first line of Python program, and first of all, this interpreter will try to dissect this line, will try to analyze this line and understand whether it is grammatically correct or not. So A equal to 10, there is no problem. Grammatically, it is correct. As this line is correct grammatically, Python will run this. What do you mean by run this line? It says that A is a variable of value 10. Done. So A becomes a variable now. Then Python interpreter runs second line. This is also grammatically correct. And B becomes 5. Next line, C becomes 5. Now next line, when interpreter will take this line, it will dissect this line and see grammatically it is correct. There is no problem with grammar. But this line becomes D is equal to 10 divided by 5 minus 5. That means this becomes D is equal to 10 divided by 0. And then Python interpreter finds that this line is not executable. So what it does, listen carefully, listen very carefully. What interpreter does, what Python interpreter does, is that because this line cannot be executed, this interpreter will create an object, will create an object of class. Recall the class name? Recall it? The class name was zero division error. It will create an object of class zero division error. Okay. Imagine this is that object. Imagine And not only that, it will create the object and fill the description, that which line had that error, what was the description of the error. You can't divide by 0 like that. Some description it will fill. And Python interpreter who has created this object will now throw this object back exactly to that portion or that code where the error was. It will throw this object. It's like, Python interpreter is shouting that I was running your code, but there was a serious mistake at a particular line. Okay. And look, this is that mistake. So it is returning that mistake back in the code. Okay. Now, what our code must do, what our program must do is, it should catch this object, catch the object which was thrown by Python interpreter. It's like a bundle. It's like a bundle which contains some information. And our program should actually catch this object, open the bundle and see what's the error. Okay. Then the program must do some alter to overcome that error. But then you watch this code very closely. There is nothing like that done here. Catch the object and all that. Nothing of that sort. This interpreter is shouting that you have an error here, but there is no such code written. Then Python interpreter will take a strict action, and it says that I have notified the error to you. I told that this is wrong, but you are not doing anything about it. So I will stop the program at this point. This is a very strict action taken, and the rest of the lines will not run. But then when it stops the program, it gives trace back error, and it exactly says this is the class. This is the class of error, zero division error. So by looking at that class, oh, okay, there was some division by zero mistake in my program. And even it prints the description at the line where it was caused, and then you rectify that error. Can you understand that Python interpreter doesn't create the object every day or every time? It creates the object only when there is some unexecutable code. Only then it creates. It says, okay, now I have to interfere and I have to inform the program that there is some really serious mistake. But which kind of mistake? So it will use the correct class, like zero division error class, and then it will create a bundle. It will create the object and throw it. Now you might have got the point that why your teacher, while teaching object and class, didn't indulge in pure object and class creation. I explained how to create a class, how to create object. More eagerly, anxiously, you should see where are these class and objects used in Python. Just check this again. What am I talking about? Suppose I have A is equal to 10, 20, 30. And this is so silly. I say print A3. This is not possible because the list is having 0, 1, 2 elements. Now, what Python interpreter does, or many people call this as runtime environment also. What this does, it takes the first line. It says, okay, this line is grammatically correct. And okay, I will now create an object. Python interpreter creates an object of list type and it stores it in the memory. But when it executes this line, it says, hello, third element is not there. I can't run this line. But which type of error is this? This is index error. So what Python does, it creates an object of class. Class used over here is index error. This time it is not zero division error. Please try to understand. So Python checks which type of error is this and creates an object of correct class. Then fills the description of the error and then throws that object. This is a bundle or an object which contains information about where was the error, what was the cause of the error. Now our code should have some code like catch or do some alternate action so that this error is bypassed. But there is nothing like that done over here in my code. So Python will say, look, I notified you, but you are not taking any action. So I will stop the program at this point, giving traceback error. I have a very silly example, which is of course not needed to be given. But I have a very silly example of exception handling. Most of the times it works. My silly example is, imagine a court, and in the court, a judge is listening to a culprit, maybe a thief, maybe a thief. And this is Python interpreter. We can say this is master. And this is our Python program, the culprit, Python program. The thief who is under the trial. Now, what Python interpreter tells that, okay, you run, I will try to interpret you. I will try to understand. So judge asks the culprit to explain. So culprit says first line, okay, that line is grammatically correct and executable also. It makes sense. So judge says, continue, tell me the next line. That line is also okay, fine. Okay, tell me the next line. But next line, although grammatically correct, it doesn't make any sense, judge says. Look, I am not able to interpret this. I am not able to execute this. What you are saying is senseless. So what judge does? Judge will take an objection, isn't it? Objection. It will create an object, fill the error in that object and throw it to the culprit, throw it back to the thief. Now, it is responsibility of this person who is standing in the court to catch the object, to open the object, to see what the mistake is, and to take some alternative steps. And what if culprit doesn't do it? Then thief will simply stop the trial. Same thing as what Python interpreter is helping our Python program, just as judge was helping the culprit. Nobody wants to hang anyone. And it notifies our Python program that, look, this is the line, this is the mistake. What alternative action are you taking? If it does not take any action, it's going to stop. Now I think you are ready to learn what is the definition of exception. This object, note here everyone, this object which was created by Python interpreter is called exception. I repeat, this object which contained the error and all that, description of the error, this object created by the Python interpreter is called exception. If you are asked next time, what is exception by anyone? If you're asked what is exception, you should say, exception is object. Remember, exception is object. But who creates this object? The master creates it, Python interpreter. When does it create it? Whenever some statement cannot be executed. What does that object contain? Description of the error. What does master do with this object? It simply throws it back to our code, That is exception. Please try to understand. In programming languages like Java, you got this chapter exception. Many of you might have even learned it. Only thing is, here we are learning exception handling in Python. There it will be exception handling in Java. But the definition which I am giving, the explanation which I am making is word by word same, applicable for Java also, or any object-oriented programming language, anywhere you go. Tomorrow, if some new OOPM comes, in that also I bet that the definition of exception will be same. What is exception? Exception is defined as an object. Okay? And this object is created. This object is created by Python if some statement cannot be executed. If some statement cannot be executed, but grammatically it is correct, but it can't be executed. Okay? And surely the object that it will create will belong to some class. And it won't be always the same class. It depends on the kind of error, isn't it? If it is arithmetic error like division by 0, so that class will be used. If you are crossing the index, then index error will be the class. And what does that object contain? The object, that is exception, contains description of error. And what does Python do with this object? Python simply throws this object to the code. This is exception. Don't worry, I will be again sharing one notebook with you, which is specially meant for exception handling. And all these definitions have been given, but not with such an explanation, isn't it? You won't get such explanation in the notes, obviously. You can get it only while live discussion, isn't it so? Once we have learned what do you mean by exception, exception is an object. Now let's come to the word exception handling. There is another word here, handling, meaning if exception is an object, how do you handle this object? But what does that object contain? It contains error. Indirectly, how do you handle that error? Description of that error is in that object, which is called exception. How do you handle that error? It is done by using two words. Listen, you just have to learn two words, that's all. Try is the first word, and second word is except. So I'll just erase this page. You just have to learn two words, try and except. And these are so simple. To understand these words, first of all, we will go to the code. Okay? And you recall we had a code for division by zero error, and I have shown you the trace back error, and the trace back error is zero division error. But then I'll purposely extend this code. I'll say E is equal to A plus B plus C. Now you know that there is no problem with this line. Not grammatically, not execution wise also. It's perfect. And then I print E. Now if I run this line is wrong, isn't it? So it will give trace back error. It will give zero division error. And the point is, because the program stopped here, these lines never executed. Are you understanding? The entire program gets penalized. Okay. So how do you handle this? What you do is, you say this line, this line may be risky. So you write a block called try. Okay. And try is followed by colon. You are getting used to this now. Try colon. That means that colon character is going to push the cursor ahead and it's going to indent the lines. So this line will be indented. Try this, we are saying. And also try printing D. These two lines, according to us, are risky. Risky code is written in try. But if something happens, like some error happens, then we write except, and we write the kind of error that can happen, like zero division error. How did we know this? That it will be this type of error? Because we are dividing something. It's expected maybe that this kind of error occurs. And then even except is followed by colon, you watch. So if I hit enter, there will be indentation. And here I will write print cannot divide by zero. Initially you would require 2 or 3 explanations to understand what try and except is doing. But I'll tell you, it's not at all extraordinary. It's very easy. Once you have understood what exception is, this is not at all something great. So what's happening? Let's see. I will again use our discussion over here that there is Python interpreter or Python runtime environment, the master. We are running this code. Master says, okay, let me check your first line. It is grammatically correct and I am executing it. Next line, okay. Next line, there's no problem. Now Python interpreter happens to see this line try. If I ask you what is the meaning of this try, you will say, we are telling Python interpreter that please try this code. Please try whatever we have written in this block. Please try this. And if some error occurs while running this code, then whatever object you throw, we are going to catch it by using except. This except in Java was called as catch. This word except was not there. But in Python, they removed the word catch and they wrote except. But I always feel that catch was a better word because you are catching that object. Just check then what happens here. Try begins, this block begins, and Python takes this line. But this line is d is equal to 10 divided by 0. So interpreter cannot run this line. So interpreter will create an object of zero division error class. This is the name of the class and this is the object. It fills the object with an error and it throws it back here where the error was. Okay. Now you can just imagine there is a bundle, there is an object coming in here. As the object comes in, this line will not run the next line because there was an error here. And the control directly jumps to except. I told you, you will require 1 or 2 repetitions of this explanation. Just have patience. You see that there was an error at this line. So control will jump to except. And it says, oh yes, I have got a zero division error object. Look at this object which is coming in. And it says, yes, I am there to attend that object. And what it does simply is run this code. Whatever code you write in except will run. If this object comes in and this object is really coming in, zero division error object. So this line will be printed, cannot divide by 0. But the big point is coming up after that. The big point is that rest of the code will now run. You recall previously because of this bad line, program halted here. But now the rest of the line runs and E becomes 20 and 20 is also printed. What you have to understand is that when try runs and if there is an error somewhere, then exception is thrown, that is object is thrown. And that object is handled over here. It says, yes, I am there to handle this type of object. But what do you mean by handle? It simply has some code here. That code runs. And after running that code, rest of the program runs. So, what exactly is happening is, just imagine, I have written try colon, just check this, try colon, and then I have written line 1, okay, line 1, line 2, line 3, and then I have written except some error. Okay, some error like zero division error, colon, and then some statement, maybe statement 4. And most importantly, and there is line 5, line 6, line 7, line 8, and so on. Now just imagine this try begins. And there is no problem with line 1. Line 1 runs perfectly. Python interpreter doesn't have any problem with this line. But line 2 cannot run. Line 2 cannot run. So you know what Python will do? It will create an object, that is exception. Remember, exception is an object. It will create that object, throw it. And this except block that we have written with colon here is perfectly a block which will catch that object and run this code. And after running this code, it will say as if nothing has happened and it will run the remaining program. Okay. Suppose I have written a code like this, try colon, then line 1, line 2, line 3, and then except some type of error. So if the error occurs, this line should run, line 4, and then line 5, line 6, line 7. Just imagine try starts and all lines execute properly. No problem. Nice. This is very nice. Which means if all lines run properly, there is no error thrown. There is no exception thrown. If there is no exception thrown, then this except block, this entire except block will not run. That's good actually. Hello, we are not writing this so that every time error will be there. No. In fact, errors are bad. We don't want errors. So if all 3 lines run properly, We say we were expecting an error, but error did not occur. Nice. So this block will not run, but then the rest of the lines will run as usual. As usual, they will run. Check it thoroughly. Before you say enough is enough. Sir, we have got this. Just check this. Try. Line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, and then accept some type of error. And then line 5. And then 6, 7, 8, rest of the program. Imagine try starts. And line 1 itself is bad. So this cannot be executed. So Python will throw an exception object, and we have written that except block here. So from here, directly the control will jump to except. What about these lines? These will not run. So inside the try block, as soon as the error is caused, rest of the lines of the try block will not run. Come on, Python says it was risky. I am not running it anymore. I am going to accept exception handler. This is exception handler. I will run the line over here, whichever you said, and then I will run the rest of the program. So that's why when this line caused an error, there was no question of executing this line. So from here itself, the control jumped to zero division error, and it executed cannot divide by 0, and the rest of the program ran. So let me run this. Just check. Cannot divide by 0 and then 20. This proves that this part of the program executed. Although there was an error here, but we caught that error nicely and we printed the mistake, and then the rest of the program executed. That's try and accept. We have not yet finished. Hello. Or rather, we have almost finished it with a few more things to be told. Now listen. Now I am going to do something more here. Let's check this. Let's try like this. I am having one more variable here just for fun. Let's say q is equal to 10, 20, 30. Q is the object of list class, correct? And after this, print d. I don't know why, but I'm going to print q3. This is wrong. You can't print q3. This is an exception, and the name of the exception, index error. Yeah, this is an index error. But will we reach this? No way, we will not reach this, because you have written this in try block. Please try to understand. And this line itself is division by 0. So this line itself will cause an exception. Then these two lines written below, print d and print q3, will not run. Directly from here, the control will jump to this exception handler block. It will print cannot divide by 0, and it will make e as 20 and print e. So although this line is wrong, but this line did not get chance to execute. That's in our favor, because one poorly designed line in try says enough is enough. You are writing risky code, and I found that this code is risky. So I'm going to send it to exception handler. So if I run this, we still get cannot divide by 0 and 20. Okay, now here is my question. I will wait for your answers. Take your own time. See, I cut this line over here, okay, and I am putting this as the first line in try. Print q3. All right then. Just check this and then accept. Accept zero division error. Just check. Q3 is not allowed. You can't do this because Q3 is not present, but you are given it in try. My question is, what will be the output when I run this code? Think over it. What will be the output when I run this code? Think. Okay, Anmol, any idea?
Sir, index error.
So you are saying that it will give trace back, is it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's right. Let's check. Okay. Just see, I'm executing this code. This is wrong, correct? First of all, I hope you agree this is wrong. So what will Python do? Python will create an object. Object of which class? Index error, you know that.
Yes.
And Python will throw that object. Here, it will throw the object to the code. But then there should be some except block which should catch that error. But we have written one except block which is capable of catching this type of error, zero division error, but we have not written any except block which can catch index error. That means, try should be followed with the except block that says, okay, I am ready for zero division error. If some zero division error is there, I will catch it. There should be one more except block which says that, okay, I am ready for index error, but there is no index error catch. In that case, Python throws that error, throws that object of class index error, but there is no catching block. And you know what Python does? It takes strict action. It says, I have thrown an object, you are not catching it, you are not taking some steps, so I will stop the program right here. And these lines will not run. Just check. Oh, index error, that's right. Trace back. And you can easily see this is list index out of range. But what about these lines? These lines did not run because you did not have matching catch. What if I write one more except now? Except index error colon. And I say print index out of bounds. Some error like this. Now you watch. This is the try block, which is followed by two except blocks. So we are saying, please try this code. We are requesting Python, please try this code. And while trying this code, it may happen that this error will be there. If this error is there, run this code. No, then maybe this error is there. If this error is there, then run this code. No, that means there are no errors. Good. If there are no errors, then simply run this code. So if try completely executes properly without any error, then none of these except blocks will run. I repeat, if complete try runs without any error, then these except blocks will not run and these lines will run. But what if the first line itself is wrong? Then it goes to the matching except. It will run that matching except and run the remaining statement. So now I ask you, if I run this code, what will be the output? Think over it. So if I run this, look, this except block has executed, and then this rest of the statement made e equal to 20. I hope you got this. So can one try have multiple excepts? Surely. Because when you are trying something, there can be this error, that error, n number of errors. So you say, if this error occurs, do this. If this error occurs, do this. And then after that, you write rest of the code, which will execute normally. It's not compulsory that try must be followed by multiple excepts. Maybe if you are writing some risky code, mostly you know that there can be only one type of error. Mostly. So you write only one except. But if you anticipate many type of errors, then you write except one below the other. Okay? Now you watch, telling you something extraordinary. Now what you might be thinking, I'm sure, so many names here and there. Zero division error, index error. How do we remember this? I mean, when I am writing the program, Python program, do I have to remember all this? All these kind of errors? What happens, I'll tell you, when we write our program, mostly, we don't write try except. We never write try except. I mean, we just forget these words. We just keep writing our program. Okay. And then we run the program. And we are very happy. Program gives output. It runs very well. But then we don't stop there. We run the program again. New input, new parameters. We keep running the program. This is called testing. This is called testing the code. And suddenly, there is some trace back given. Suddenly. Oh, and then trace back is given and the name of the error is also given. You know that, how Python helps us. Maybe at one particular point of time, it gives index error. And okay, I should write now this code in try catch, try except. So while writing this pure code, I did not know that these kind of errors can occur. So I did not write try except. But when I tested it, I knew that these kind of errors can occur. I hope you're understanding. So most of the try and accept, try and accept, these words are added during testing phase. And the people come to know which is the risky code and enclose it in try catch. Now something really interesting. You see, we have to write this except 2 times because sometimes zero division error, sometimes index error might occur. What if I am told that you don't have to write multiple excepts? I'll just remove all this. You don't have to write multiple excepts. You write only one except. Except colon, that's all. Check the grammar again. You don't write except which class. We were writing class names after except. There is alternate grammar where it says just write except, that's all. Don't write class name and say print some error occurred. Some error occurred. Let's say. Now this except is capable of catching any type of object, any type of exception object. So you don't have to particularly write except zero division, except index error. Whatever type of error, this except will be able to catch. So this line is wrong in the try. Which type of error is this? Index error. But this except is capable of catching it. Although I have not written except index error, although I have not written like this. I have not written, but I have written only except. Then this can accept, this can catch any type of errors. And then here I have written some error occurred. And you know very well what happens after except block, rest of the code runs. So the output due to this will be some error occurred and 20. So what you have to understand is the only word except is capable of catching literally any type of error. If that is what is your choice, then you don't have to write multiple excepts. Tell me, why do you write multiple except? You say, acha, this type of error can occur, that type of error can occur, oh, this also can occur, then let me write 3 excepts, except this type of error, except this type of error, except this type of error. But what if you want to escape all this hard work? You can simply write except. Because this is capable of catching any type of error. See, the choice is yours. The choice is yours. But my choice is basically I will always write a particular type of error, like zero division error, okay, colon, and then I will describe it properly. You see, when we are having only except, one except, we can't describe the error. Here, if zero division error, I can say cannot divide by 0. I hope you are understanding. Cannot divide by 0. I can describe it properly. But when I have only one except, then I can't print a message like cannot divide by 0 or you have crossed the bounds of the list. I can't do that because I don't know exactly which type of error had occurred, except index error, colon. Here I can particularly print that index out of bound, out of bound. And now finally what we can do is we can say, okay, if any other type of error occurs, so except, now finally I will write this, that if it is not this type of error, which I am anticipating, but if out of this world error occurs, then I will print some error occurred. But the moral of the story is, after try, you can simply give except without any class name. It is capable of catching all types of exceptions. All types of exceptions. Okay. By the way, how much are we going to use try and except, these two words, when we actually implement machine learning or some programming in Python, very less, very less. A reason I will tell, because mostly, try except are implemented inside the class and object itself. Everything happens behind the scenes. Very, very few times, even when you Google out some Python programs, very few times you will see programmer writing try except. Let's see an example. Let's say I have a computer file, I have a txt file, okay, text file. Just imagine I have a text file. Let's say my file.txt. This is the file I am having. And this contains some text like hello, how are you, something like that. This file is on the hard disk in some drive, some folder, okay? And I want my Python program to open this file and process this file. So there is very simple function in Python called open, and just give the name of the file, myfile.txt. So simple. Open is a function and give the file name in quotation. So this file will be opened. But on the left hand side, you place some variable. Let's say f, some variable. So f will be now your file which is opened as myfile.txt. Now the big question is that you are asking Python to open the file named as myfile.txt. But what if this myfile.txt does not exist? This must have happened with you too. You open Microsoft Word and you ask Word to open some file, but that file is not there. So what does Microsoft Word do? It shows an error that so and so file cannot be found. Please try again. That's exception. It doesn't happen that Microsoft Word gives trace back and it halts. That will be ridiculous. Just because you gave wrong file name, it should not happen that your application should stop. Your application can't stop running. In fact, it should notify the user what mistake has happened. So what if I go back to my Python code here and write something silly like this? Just check. I say f is equal to open. Okay. And I have a file, I think ddd.txt. There is no such file. Absolutely, I have not created any such text file. And I am telling Python to open this file. And if I run this, I will get trace back. Check that kind of class is file not found error. This is the name of the class. And no such file or directory ddd exist. So don't you feel, as a programmer, don't you feel that this is a risky statement? You'll say, why, sir? Why risky statement? We will create ddd.txt and then we will run this program. But what if somebody deletes this file accidentally? You created it, but somebody deletes the file and now you are trying to run the code. Your code will not find this file and it will give an error. So such risky statement should be written in try. And in the try, you try to open the file. That's the point. You try to open the file, but while opening the file, if error occurs, which kind of error? File not found error, correct? Colon. Then you can print file not found. File not found. This is how you will accept this particular type of error, and you will print this message. Now if I run this is going to print file not found. But if you didn't like this, oh, huge word, isn't it? Forget it. You write except. Because except is able to catch any type of errors. So even if I run this is going to print file not found. What did this except catch? This except has caught file not found error. You will always see whenever you handle files in Python, whenever you handle files in Python, then file handling is written in try catch, try except. Because there is a huge risk when you use a file, that file may not exist. So you should properly check whether the file exists or not. If it does not exist, notify the user that there is no such file. I hope you have further understood what try and except means. But I repeat, very few times in our Python programming, we are going to seriously use try and except. You will understand it as we proceed later lectures. Now, there is a small word along with try except. There is a small word here called else. Not at all attractive. Not at all. I'll be just running through this just in 5 minutes. These two words are what makes the subject. This is not what I found interesting. Else. Okay. Now, what I'm telling you is the grammar of try. Just check. You know this. Try, colon, then some lines. Line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4. Then you may have except block, except some type of error, then some line like 5, then except some type of error, again, line 6. Okay. And then you may have else here, else colon, and some line. It means try and except can be followed by else. I repeat, try and except can be followed by else. Okay. So what happens? What happens if you are written some else? So let's see it practically. I'll go to this code. The first code is better. Okay. The first code. I'm having this last except here. And okay, I'll remove this last except. Anyway, that's not needed because we have caught both type of errors. Now I'm going to put else colon, and I'll say print just for fun. This is the code I have written. Okay. Now you know that this is wrong because Q3 doesn't exist. You know index error will be caused. This will print index out of bound. Correct? This surely will be printed index out of bound. So let's see what will be the output. List index out of bound during handling the above exception. 0 division. Oh, I misspelled it. I'm so sorry. This is 0 division error. And then index error. Fine. Let me run it. You can check what happened really was this was wrong and the type of exception was index error. So the control jumped here. It executed this. So that's why you are watching this output, index out of bound output. But then else did not run. You watch, this else did not run. If else ran, then we would have got this output just for fun. But this code ran because you know we have handled the exception. If we handle the exception, then we are excused and rest of the code runs and E will be 20 is printed. Correct? So the question is, when does this else run? Just check this. When does the else run? To understand when does else run, I will change this code to 2, Q2. Now you know Q2 is correct. Q2 exists, which is 30. And I'll also change this to 7. Now you know B minus C is not going to be 0. So this entire try block will run properly. And no exception will be caused. If no exception is caused, none of the except runs. This will never run because there was no error. Let's see what will happen now. So you see just for fun is printed now. What that means is else section runs only if complete try runs properly. I repeat, else section runs only if the entire try block runs properly. That means none of the except blocks runs. There was no error caused, only then else will run. So this else is actually for except. Is this error caused? No. Was this error caused? No. Then run the else. Because no error was caused, run else, and some code is given in else. We are not jumping into discussion why to write else. I'm telling what happens when you write else. I repeat, I'm not telling you what is the application of this else. But I'm just telling you, if you write else, what happens? What happens? If the entire try runs properly, there was no error, then else executes. This all except code will not execute and simply else executes, printing just for fun, and rest of the code runs. So many times you may see after try except, you will see else. Some code is given in else. So 3 words you have seen: try, except, else. One more word to go. Finally word. Now, This entire thing, try, except, else, can be followed with one more block, finally. Finally, colon. It's a block. Triple L I had. Finally, colon. And you give some code, just as say print in finally. Finally. Now, what you have to understand is that whatever you give in finally block will always run. I repeat, whatever you give in finally block will always run. My question is, will this run always? Will this run always? Your answer will be no, sir. This will run only if zero division error is raised. My question is, will this block run always? No, sir. It will run only if index error is caused. Okay. Will this else run always? No, you would say. This else will run only if entire try runs properly. But if I ask you, will this finally run always? Your answer would be yes. It will run. Whether try runs normally or abnormally, whether it gives error or not, but finally will run. So if I run this, just check. There was no problem with try. Q2 got printed 30. D became 5.0. So D was properly printed. No except caused. No error was there. So try executed completely. So else will run. Printing just for fun. And then finally will surely run. It is printing in finally. And then it has printed the sum, which is 22. These are the 4 words that make exception handling. But let me tell you, 2 words are important. If you have understood that, try except, that's enough. And you will get used to this else, finally, and all that, and know how to tackle them. You will know how to handle them. Okay. So I will leave with one question here, which most of the students ask me. Okay. Some sort of good gesture, many times students do. I'm having A as 10, B as 5, C as 5, and then I have written try. Okay. And then I have said D is equal to A upon B minus C. You know this is wrong. And then I am printing D. Okay. But then I am having except block, except zero division error, colon. Okay. And now I said that in this except block, you can write some statement. It need not be print. It need not be always print. What if mischievously I give a statement like this? Z is equal to 20 divided by 0. Just check this line in the except block. So you know this line is wrong. This is going to throw an exception. That object will come running down here, and that's zero division error object. So as this is zero division error object, this code will run, but this code itself is division by 0. So again, Python will raise an object. That means while handling exception, there is an exception. That is the question most of the times asked by the students. I mean, this try is already risky. And what if you have written some risky code in except? Who will handle it? You watch. If there is this risky code, and if the object is thrown saying, hey, again you have zero division error, there is nothing called try. There is nothing called try except written here. So program will halt here. Isn't it? Can you have nested try? Oh, surely you can have. That means inside this except, you can again write try catch. But the big question is, this is so silly. I mean, when you are handling an exception, you won't write a risky code. Come on. You won't write. You will write some warnings. You would ask the user to try something again. You won't write a risky code in the except, because here you are handling an exception. But still, if you want, you can go ahead and you can try. You can try searching for can we write nested try, which is surely possible, just out of interest. And you can also purposely write this code where in the except you write z is equal to 20 upon 0. Just check what happens. I hope you found this question interesting. And most of the time, students ask me this, that you are saying that except block is going to handle the exception, but what if exception is raised inside the except block? Then what will happen? obviously program will halt because that exception is not caught properly. You can give it a try. And tomorrow I will come up with one more. Exception handling is what I taught today. And we are applying this wherever necessary, okay? Wherever necessary. While doing our projects, some programs, we will remind ourselves about exception handling. Bye everyone. See you tomorrow at 11.